The modern Lamborghini brings in billions of dollars a year. It is the chosen machine of the global elite, a hyper-engineered symbol of massive wealth. Yet this massive automotive empire did not begin with a grand vision of high-end luxury. It started entirely because of a petty, personal argument over a $10 piece of farm equipment. Ferruccio Lamborghini grew up poor on a rural Italian farm after the First World War. He didn't care about racing or prestige. He was obsessed with pulling apart loud, broken machinery and figuring out how it worked. What is now the most aggressive supercar manufacturer on Earth exists simply because a frustrated tractor mechanic refused to let a billionaire disrespect him. When the Second World War broke out, Ferruccio was drafted into the Italian Royal Air Force and sent to the island of Rhodes. His daily life consisted of keeping battered military trucks and agricultural equipment running on an isolated outpost. He returned to an Italy that was entirely broken. The national economy needed to drastically increase agricultural output to survive, but the farmers tasked with this recovery had no money to buy the heavy tractors required. Ferruccio saw the supply gap. Armies left behind surplus military vehicles. He bought engines at scrap prices, pulling them into his tiny garage to build affordable tractors. His breakthrough was a custom fuel atomizer. He modified the surplus engines so they could turn over using standard petrol, and then smoothly transition to running on extremely cheap diesel fuel. To scale production, Ferruccio needed a bank loan. The bank refused. His father stepped in and signed over the family's only asset, their small vineyard, as collateral to launch Lamborghini Trattori. The gamble paid off perfectly. By offering machinery that was cheap to buy and run, he captured the local farming market. Within a decade, Ferruccio was running one of the largest agricultural manufacturing plants in the country and amassing a massive personal fortune. Now incredibly wealthy, Ferruccio bought a fleet of high-end sports cars. His prized possession was a top-of-the-line Ferrari 250 GT. The car required constant maintenance. Every time Ferruccio pushed it to high speeds, the clutch would burn out and fail, forcing him to send it back to the factory for repairs. After his patience finally broke, he had his own tractor mechanics pull the Ferrari apart. He found the exact same commercial clutch he was buying for his farm equipment for $10, installed in his car, with Ferrari charging him $1,000 to replace it. Ferruccio scheduled a meeting with the owner, Enzo Ferrari. As a fellow engineer, he simply wanted to explain the design flaw and offer a solution for the clutch issue. Enzo refused to listen.
He told Ferruccio that the cars were perfect. The driver was the problem, and that a man who built farm equipment had no business telling him how to build a sports car. Ferruccio drove back to his factory and immediately began drafting plans. He decided he was going to build a better, faster, and more reliable vehicle just to prove Enzo wrong. In 1963, he officially opened Automobili Lamborghini. His first move was to aggressively recruit 3 of Ferrari's top engineers by offering them resources they couldn't get from Enzo. He gave his new team exactly 4 months. They had to design and build a functional prototype from scratch to debut at the upcoming Turin Auto Show. When the opening day of the show arrived, the sleek exterior of the Lamborghini 350 GT was flawless. The engine, however, was entirely missing. It wasn't finished in time to be installed. Unwilling to miss his deadline, Ferruccio had his crew fill the empty engine bay with heavy ceramic bricks so the car would sit at the correct height on its suspension. He then slammed the hood shut, locked it, and strictly forbade anyone from opening it during the event. The press loved the design. 3 years later, in 1966, he released the Lamborghini Miura. By placing the engine directly behind the driver instead of in the front, Ferruccio created the template for the modern supercar. He backed up this mechanical performance with a policy that if a customer's car ever broke down, Lamborghini would fly a mechanic to their exact location to fix it. He had successfully built a superior machine, effectively neutralizing Ferrari's total dominance of the market. This victory was short-lived. In the early 1970s, the Bolivian government placed a massive order for 5,000 tractors and then suddenly canceled the contract due to political instability in their country. Ferruccio had taken out large loans to source the materials for that specific order. The sudden cancellation left him holding enormous debts that quickly began bleeding into his automotive divisions. Then the 1970s global oil crisis hit. the cost of petrol skyrocketed globally, and the market demand for 12-cylinder, gas-guzzling performance vehicles completely vanished overnight. Facing insurmountable financial pressure, Ferruccio made the decision to step away. By 1974, he had sold off his remaining shares in automobile Lamborghini to avoid total bankruptcy, retiring to his vineyard. The same shifting macroeconomic conditions that had allowed him to build a tractor monopoly out of surplus scrap metal had decades later stripped him of his entire automotive empire. For the next 20 years, the Lamborghini brand bounced between owners. It filed for bankruptcy, was bought by Chrysler, and eventually passed into the hands of an Indonesian investment group. The turning point arrived in 1998 when Audi, a subsidiary of the Volkswagen Group, purchased the company. They immediately injected the heavy capital and infrastructure the brand lacked. Under Audi, wild Italian designs were finally paired with highly reliable German engineering. This stabilization culminated in 2018 with the release of the Urus. Today, this highly practical, spacious SUV is responsible for over half of Lamborghini's entire global sales volume. The company only secured its long-term survival when it stopped focusing entirely on low-slung supercars and built a reliable utility vehicle. The ultimate status symbol of extreme wealth only exists today because it returned to the pragmatic, mechanical roots of the tractor builder who started it.